Hey everyone, it's Lynette, and this is going to be my mid-year book freakout. So the first question on this mid-year book freakout book tag is, what was the best book you've read so far in 2018? I think by far the best book I've read, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, which is surprising because the author is so great. But that book is Lifelike by Jay Kristoff. This is going to be a new series of Jay's. It is a fantastic read. I got to read it as an ARC and get to review it before it came out, and it was phenomenal. It's basically Westworld in book form. It's way in the future. Robots are like everywhere, but there's these certain kinds of robots called lifelikes, and they look exactly like humans. Like, it's just really hard to tell the difference between lifelikes and people. And lifelikes were banned because, you know, robot uprising and whatnot, but they discover that maybe not all of them were banned, and there's still some, you know, running around. And anyway, you can imagine the chaos that ensues after that. And the main character, Eve, is one of my all-time favorite main characters. She is so much fun, so complex, just a great all-around character. So if you haven't checked out Lifelike, I believe it's already out. It came out in May, so go to your bookstore and buy that book. The second question on the mid-year book freakout tag is, what was the best sequel? Now, I haven't read any sequels that came out this year. Not yet. All my sequels come out in the fall. So I haven't read any sequels yet that came out this year. But by far, I think the best sequel that I've read this year is Crown of Midnight. And that is the sequel to Throne of Glass. It's the second one in the series. I'm on the fourth one in the series right now, and so far the second one still remains my favorite book in the Throne of Glass series. And the final book of the Throne of Glass series comes out in October, so if you have not read that book, you still have plenty of time to get started in reading that series and be all ready for the final book to come out in October. Number 3 is a new release that came out this year that you haven't read yet, but that you would really like to read. For me, this is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I've heard so many good things about it, and I've heard so many not so good things about it. But Holly Black is so great, and when it comes to writing fantasy novels, I have a few others on my shelf of hers, and I cannot wait to read this one. I don't know why I haven't gotten around to it yet. I just haven't. And I'm sure Cruel Prince was all hyped up when it came out in January, so I'm sure that you've read and watched a million reviews on it already, so I'm not going to bother giving a synopsis. But basically, it's a book about fairies. That's all really you need to know. Number 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? So I think I have 2 of them. My most anticipated, of course, is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, and that is Kingdom of Ash, which comes out in October. And the other one is the third book of the Three Dark Crowns series, and that is Two Dark Reigns. So both of those books, epic dark fantasies. Fall is the perfect time to read them, so I'm super excited they're coming out this fall, and I cannot wait to get my hands on them. Number 5 is, what is your biggest disappointment of the year so far? For me, this has to be, and I'm so sad to say it because this was my most highly anticipated book that I wanted to read. But for me, it's The Hazelwood. I wanted to like it so much. It had such a beautiful cover. It had such a promising synopsis. I tried so hard to get my hands on an ARC of it and just couldn't do it, so I had to buy it when it came out. But I was so hyped up for this book, and it just let me down. It just fell short of, I guess, what I was expecting. But I gave it 3 stars. It's going to be a series, and when the next one comes out, I'll read it. But if I don't love that one, I think that's going to be a series that I discontinue with. Number 6 is, what was your biggest surprise? For me, I think this was the third book of the Illuminae Files trilogy, and that is called Obsidio by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. The reason why it was a surprise, I don't know if it's good or bad, I didn't feel like Obsidio was as good as the first two. It was still great. It wrapped up a lot of storylines. Everything came full circle. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting more twists and turns like the other ones had, more plot twists, more surprises in it. So I guess my surprise was that it wasn't as surprising as the first two, if that makes any sense. I guess I hyped myself up so much for it, and I don't know that it lived completely up to that level of hype that I was. But it was still a great book. It was still a great conclusion, and I give the series overall 5 stars. Hands down, one of my all-time favorite series. But Obsidio, I just don't think was as good as the first two. Number 7 is, who is your new favorite author? He's not a new author by any means, but Jay Kristoff has wrote some phenomenal things this year. And he and Amy Kaufman are coming out with a new series that they just talked about on Instagram. It's called, it's called Aurora something. It's another sci-fi space epic novel, and I cannot wait for it. I am here for it. I love their writing together, and Lifelike, like I said, was the best book I've read so far of his. And his writing is just, I love his writing style. He's funny, he's witty, he makes the most complex, developed characters that I've ever read. So I am really excited to see more from Jay Kristoff and to go back and read some of his older novels that I haven't read. Number 8 is, who is your new crush? My new fictional crush, well, let's see. My OG fictional crush has to be Rhysand from A Court of Thorns and Roses. But after reading the novella Court of Frost and Starlight and getting inside of Cassian's head, I have to say maybe Cassian is starting to be my new fictional crush. I really enjoy his character. He's funny. He's this big burly guy, and I don't know. I just really enjoy getting inside of his head, and I look forward to reading more about him once the new book comes out, whenever that's going to be. Number 9 is, who is your new favorite character? Like I said before, Eve, who is the main protagonist in the book Lifelike, is probably my new favorite character. She was so complex, so developed, just such a well-rounded, thought-out character. I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to spoil anything for you about the book Lifelike, because it was probably the biggest surprise for me in 2018 that I enjoyed this book as much as I did. I mean, I love a good sci-fi novel like the next one, but I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, and I went into it completely blind, and I was not disappointed. So Eve has to be my new favorite character. She is so hardcore and so cool. I cannot wait to read more about her. Number 10 is, what is a book that made you cry? This one's kind of surprising, but I cried at the book Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. Moxie is just a good old girl power, kick-ass book. Fight the patriarchy, feminism, gold. I loved every second of it, and I cried because there's so much emotion into it. There is so much power and uplifting things, but there's also some things that I could truly relate to as a woman, as a girl, as a female, as a feminist. So it was really good, and I think I cried happy tears, I cried sad tears. I just cried because I felt so strongly about that book. Number 11 is, what is a book that made you happy? And this is going to be an unpopular opinion because I know a lot of people were disappointed with this book, but A Court of Frost and Starlight made me so happy. I know it wasn't what people were expecting. I know it probably didn't need to be in book form. It probably didn't need to be something published. It could have been released online, or it could have been the first few chapters of the next book coming out. I know all of that, but I still loved catching up with my favorite character. A Court of Thorns and Roses is hands down, again, one of my favorite series of all time. It's how I fell in love with Sarah J. Maas. So A Court of Frost and Starlight, even though it didn't probably live up to the hype, it still has a special place with me because I loved catching up with all of our favorite people and getting to know what they're doing and how their holiday was, I guess. So I really enjoyed it, and even though some people didn't, I really did. So it made me happy. Number 12 is, what was your favorite film adaptation? I'll tell you what wasn't my favorite film adaptation, and that was Ready Player One. Itself, the movie was phenomenal, but it shouldn't have been called Ready Player One. It wasn't anything like the book. It took hints from the book. It took, you know, the main kind of storyline from the book, but all in all, the scenes, everything was just, it was different. I don't enjoy when movies do that. I know it would have been a very long movie had they put everything into it, but listen, they made The Hobbit 3 movies. Why couldn't you make Ready Player One 3 movies? Because I would watch it. I don't know about you, but Ready Player One is one of my favorite books. So I was really let down by that movie, really disappointed with it. I liked it by itself. It just shouldn't have been called Ready Player One. It should have been called like Egg Hunters, a movie based on the novel Ready Player One, because it wasn't Ready Player One at all. Still a good movie. I just was disappointed by how it adapted the novel. I just didn't enjoy that. Number 13 is, what was your favorite review that you did or your favorite video? So I'm going to answer both. My favorite review that I wrote on my blog, my favorite review was probably one that I just wrote recently, like a month or so ago, and that is the book Scythe by Neil Shusterman. That for some reason that brought a lot of traffic onto my blog. I don't know, you guys just really wanted to know about the book Scythe, which is great. So I can't wait to read Thunderhead and review it for you as well, because Scythe got me a ton of hits. My favorite video that I think I made so far this year was my massive winter book haul. I love a good book haul. I love watching them. I love doing them. I especially love doing them because that means that I get more books to put on my shelf. But that gave me a lot of hits too, and it was just really fun to film and really fun to do. If you want to watch it, I'll link it down below. I got a ton of books from a lot of different places, so if you're interested in watching that, I'll link it down below. Number 14 is, what was the most beautiful book that you've bought so far? By far the most beautiful book I've bought so far has to be this gem sitting right here. This is the collector's edition of the book Red Queen. I love it. The pages are red on the edges. The whole book is just dripping blood red. It's a great cover. I love it so much. So it's featured front and center on my bookshelves because it deserves a place of pride. And number 15, the final question, is what are the books that you need to read by the end of this year? Now I plan on making another most anticipated video for the second half of the year. I might make that either this week or probably not next week because that's Booktubeathon. So maybe at the end of this week I will make that video. But just to give you a little snippet of what I'm looking forward to, of course I'm looking forward to Kingdom of Ash, which is the final Throne of Glass novel. And of course I'm looking forward to Two Dark Range, which is the third book of the Three Dark Crowns series. Girl at the Grave, which looks really good. Hashtag Murder Trending sounds really good. It's like this mystery kind of novel. I'm really looking forward to the book Mirage. It has this really awesome cover and it just sounds really, really good. And in my most anticipated video, I will give you the synopsis of all of these books. Right now, I feel like this video has gone on way too long. So you will have to get the synopsis when I do my most anticipated video. But also, there's a book coming out in October called The Boneless Mercies. It has a really awesome cover. It sounds really, really good. In November, there's a book called Girls of Paper and Fire. Again, awesome cover, sounds great. I can't wait to talk to you about it in my most anticipated video. But those were just a few titles to get you intrigued for my most anticipated video and to let you know what I'm most looking forward to coming out this fall and winter. But in the meantime, that is all for me today for this video, so thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button down below. I am so close to 200 subscribers. I can taste it. I have no idea how I got 200 subscribers, but I'm so thankful for each and every one of you for supporting me and watching my videos. So thank you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.